and my role is project leader for our group Third Eye Construct.
My name's Sally and my role in the project was construction, Australian standards and the National Construction Code.
My name's Daniel Pantelis and my role in the Situation Engine team was a 3D modeler and helping export to CryEngine.
My name is Dimitra Alexandru and my role within the team was to research construction materials, specifically the formwork and services.
Matthew Welland and my role was with modelling.
Alright, my name is Tim Lin and my role was the person who imports models into CryEngine and the person who fits everything together and gives the flow graphs.
Basically managing the team, providing the deliverables of our project goals, deciding on where we are and where we need to be, and creating a strategy and implementing that strategy throughout the team. And also focusing on individual strengths. So I've set a certain accountabilities and responsibilities for each team member in my group, specific to their skilled strength, and then focus on that strength to actually achieve the goals set out. That's basically my role. Also, I'm doing the HUD display as well, which is the end part of the presentation, which will be very interactive.
My contribution to the team, initially I started modelling, but I was also figuring out and calculating construction members, spans, dimensions, measurements. This was taking too long for the project time, so we reassigned roles, so I was mainly focused on construction and working with the guys who were modelling.
My main contribution to the team was 3D modelling each of the construction phases for both the timber and the concrete model. Overall, I also helped contribute to getting models organised and in a systematic arrangement so that they could go into CryEngine.
My main contribution was modelling the formwork for the slab on ground and aluminium formwork for the walls, as well as the piping system and services of the house.
Modelling of formwork and the stud work and the timber model and the concrete model.
My contribution to the team is to bring all the models that were modelled by my teammates together, fix any problems that there may be, do texturing and create and replicate the Dover Heights map using CryEngine, and then using coding from flow graphs to make everything work.
My goal is to provide basically a result which we've decided to put forward with to Russell, which is the goal of creating two types of different construction methods that could be useful in the real world, or applied in the real world if a client wants to actually see the different styles of methods and what goes into a construction and the stages and how long it would take or the cost involved, so that the opportunities and the potential of this application is diverse. So I wanted to show that as a goal, and by the end of it we should be able to achieve that.
So with this project we were assuming that it was a real site, so a real house that was going to get designed and built. My goal was to get a bit more knowledge planning with council. As we assumed it was a site in Dover Heights in Sydney, we had a look at local council, which was Waverley Council, and had a look at their planning instruments that you need to follow when designing a building. So we had a quick look at the local environment plan and the development control plan. This helped us with a few design requirements for the buildings, as we had two buildings, which was a timber frame building and a concrete building. Another goal for this project was construction. I wanted to get a bit more construction knowledge and the construction stages, as if you were on a building site. And with that, following the building code and Australian standards.
My main goal in undertaking the project was to fully understand the processes in that a house goes through in order to get constructed, but not just the processes, but understanding how things, like when they're exposed and when they're raw, how things join together, how things connect, and work with that so that clash detection and everything can fit together and end up giving a complete house for both the concrete and timber.
My goal was to improve my 3D modelling, as well as to gain greater knowledge of the process of constructing a residential building and the many stages that it includes. Another goal would be to have a successful completed project that would aid and inform others of the construction stages that we have learnt and produced along the way.
To improve my modelling skills and get a better insight of teamwork and the collaborative process.
My goal in undertaking this project was to get a more deeper understanding of the construction process, whether through the modelling from my colleagues and fitting it together, the process it takes in order to construct a building.
Process, well, the thing is with leading a project itself, it's all quite new. So the process itself is on the go. Well, you can find some stuff where you want to be and how you're going to go through it. So you can find the basics, but along the way you will find some issues and boundaries that you need to overcome. So the process is a learning curve as stages, weekly stages that you go through with the team and find out how to resolve issues there in regards to the process, collaborative process, to the models or technical specs or the stages itself in real-time construction. So yeah, it's a learning experience for me. It's just the first type of thing that I'm trying to actually comprehend.
I was lucky enough to meet with builders in the eastern suburbs, so they would give me feedback on the construction types and stages and phases and what they do in Sydney, Australia. They would also give feedback on the types of building elements, so for example brands, and then from there we could analyse spans, dimensions and design our building that way. And then that was working with the guys modelling, so I would get the information and work with the guys modelling and oversee what they're modelling as well.
Alright, my process was to take the original Revit model and to break that down into SketchUp in its for both the concrete and the timber. And I started from the ground up, so I started with the terrain and making sure excavation and retaining walls, what needed to be done before building started and before the site clearing and just doing it in its right process rather than jumping into things.
I started off researching the formwork for the slab on ground as well as the cast in situ walls. From my research I learnt that the aluminium formwork was a better alternative to the traditional wooden formwork. In saying this, I took into consideration the people that would be viewing our project and would aid from the information within our project. So I went for a better alternative and cost-effective alternative, which was the aluminium formwork. I took the plans from the Revit model and produced the walls in 3ds Max. From this, from my research, I had modelled the formwork, the aluminium formwork, to specifically fit to the walls, both the ground floor and first level of the house. Unfortunately, my 3ds Max model was had far too much detail and far too many polygons, and when I had exported it into SketchUp to then import into Crisis, there were many elements and lines missing from the actual model itself, and that became a problem. In saying this, we had to remodel the formwork in SketchUp again and change the design of it so there wouldn't be too many curved edges that would create too many polygons, and then made it easier to export from SketchUp and import into Crisis as a component. I also modelled the piping system and services of the house using Revit. This included the hot and cold water distribution, pipe ventilation and wastewater evacuation.
My work process was combined with researching and speaking to other people and then just kind of modelling and just getting it done.
So the process I went through is to get the models from my colleagues and to get to know what material types that are needed for both the timber and concrete models. Then through getting the models, fitting everything together in stages with Dan's help, and inputting them and exporting them into CryEngine to fit together using flow graphs.
The main thing I learned is how to manage a team of individuals without getting paid. That itself is hard because there's no motivational elements there to provide. So you basically just need to actually work with the team as much as you can in terms of time frames as well. I've learned that there is this program itself has certain capabilities I weren't aware of. So it is good to see the technicality of these programs that we're using and resolving those issues from transferring the models from another software to another software, which is an issue as well. So yeah, so finding those resolves ourselves, which is quite a good thing.
Probably all my goals, actually. A lot more on planning with local council and all the instruments that you need to follow when designing. And yeah, construction, a lot of construction phases, a lot that I didn't know in order, how they build things, how they actually do it, and what goes on in the site. So very helpful. Yeah, group worked well. I think there was quite a diverse range of skills between the group. So it was a good team effort.
I've learnt a lot from my input about construction and the methods that you need to take in order to get a house built. I've also learnt that you don't necessarily need to build with the one material, or there's always multiple ways of doing things. You can have different brackets, different thicknesses, and it's all determined by the BCA standards and whether you want something to be cheaper or whether you want it to take less time.
I have learnt the fundamentals of formwork and the major contribution and importance that it has to the construction of a building and the site. I also learnt how to work in a team, and that communication is a big key factor in delivering a successful project.
Developed a deeper understanding of BCA in regards to making timber models and a little bit on concrete models as well, so houses, and about a better insight into teamwork as well and delegating roles.
I have learnt how to work in a massive group, and I've learnt the fundamentals of a group work, and also I've learnt construction methods and the fine detailing that I didn't really know before in construction management.
Good.
I think it will. There's a lot of potential, especially out there where that type of technology is not used at the moment. So we're trying to actually introduce this to the market, hopefully landing us a pretty good specialist job, I guess, I don't know. But the potential with this software to be able to be used, highly available,
Yes, definitely. I think think that's where the world is going. Everything's going digitally. I think Situation Engine could be used as a very informative tool for clients, builders, people trying to learn in the industry. I think very helpful.
I think the situation will definitely benefit the industry because it gives a first-person feel to how a house can be so much deconstructed and showing its raw elements. I think that it will really help either the construction students, people in the industry, like understand not just the process but what's going on around it. Like they have a much wider angle of view when you're looking at it in CryEngine. It's not just singled out on like a basic connection or like this is the concrete poured. You actually see the whole site change at once. Yeah.
I certainly think that Situation Engine will benefit the industry, specifically students or builders that want to see the stages of the construction stages of a residential building in 3D and real time. I personally have gained knowledge from this project and I think it will help a lot of others.
Yes, I think it will benefit the industry because it gives clients a different dimension that they can view houses, so not just on plans or just on a 3D model on a computer screen. They can actually go in and explore the model.
Yes, I do think it will benefit the industry. The Situation Engine is a very good engine for showing people construction methods. And the fact that you can go and walk around itself is similar to as if you're on site. And through any flash interactive HUDs or anything else, you can get your relevant information there. And it's kind of a virtual reality which customers can be accustomed to.